What's going on, guys, and welcome to episode 387 of AskGSM, here today for Wednesday, April 28th, 2021. I am Graham GSM Matthews. Hope you guys are doing well and having a great week. If you want to send in a question to the show, you can do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/graham.gsm.matthews. Drop a question on the post that I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And be sure to drop your question down below in the comment section on this very video. I'll include your question in next week's edition. A few cheap plugs before we get going here. If you haven't already heard, my interview with John Cena, yes, John fucking Cena, went up last Thursday here on the channel, and an article form on Bleacher Report that same day. So check that out. We had two Impact interviews last week before Rebellion with the Eddie Edwards, former Impact World Champion, and former Impact Knockouts Champion Jordynne Grace. Two great interviews. Those went up on Friday and Saturday, respectively, so check those out. We had Mercedes Martinez of NXT. She's going to be facing the NXT Women's Champion Raquel Gonzalez in 2 weeks. She faced Dakota Kai last night in NXT. We talked to her yesterday. That interview went up yesterday morning, so check out that chat. That was really cool. And then in the coming days, we have Tommy Bechtold coming back from New Rockstars, that YouTube channel. Great guy. We had an awesome conversation a few weeks ago. He came back for round 2 to talk about wrestling, so that's going to be up in video form here on the channel in the next couple of days, if not next week. We have Ryzen from AEW Dark and AEW Dark Elevation. He's been on Being the Elite, among other shows. He's been in wrestling for a very long time. Great guy. That interview is going to be up here on the channel and in audio form here on the channel, and an article form over on whatculture.com, probably at some point next week, as well as Ryan Nemeth, who could not have been a nicer guy. And I've had some things to say about Ryan Nemeth in the ring on Dark and his character and stuff like that, but he made me a fan of talking to him just yesterday. He's a great guy. He's got a really cool movie coming out called Heel. It's premiering at a Florida Film Festival this coming weekend, so yeah, he was an awesome chat too, and that's going to be up in the video form here on the channel in the coming days, and an article form as well on whatculture.com. So a lot of stuff to look forward to. It has been an incredible month of April. Really, the last year has been unbelievable, and it's been incredibly busy, but like in the best way possible. But the month of April specifically, not just because of WrestleMania, like I'm still trying to catch up on shit. Clearly, as you guys have seen, I've yet to watch Broken Skull Sessions with Chris Jericho. That was weeks ago. I've yet to watch The Miz 24. That was a few days ago. There's a lot of stuff I still have to catch up on. My whole goal is to get to 100 interviews by the end of the month, and it's April 28th, and I've since done that. 100 interviews from last April to this April. And with days to go until the end of the month, I've officially conquered that goal, which is really fucking cool. And I can't do it without your guys' support, you guys checking out the articles, the videos, the audio, the interviews, and the video, whatever. You know, really in any form I post this stuff. You guys check it out, give me feedback on it, which is awesome. So thank you guys for that. And there's going to be plenty more interviews to come in the days and weeks ahead. So be sure to look forward to that as well. So let's get going here with the questions for this week's episode of Hashtag. Beginning with Connor from YouTube. His question was, are AEW's matches involving their top wrestlers against people who have 0% chance of winning too competitive? It seems way too often that their top-level wrestlers are in danger of losing before they manage to pull out a win at the end. I'm not saying a pure squash would be better, but to me, it makes their main event talent look weak, and it really doesn't help the newer talent make an impression because the competitive matches happen so often. That has been my biggest critique of Dark Elevation, even Dynamite itself, for a very long time now, really since the beginning of Ring of Honor, but especially lately with all the independent guys and girls they brought in, which is cool for them to get a paycheck and get more exposure. And I've talked about Dark and how ridiculous long it can be. This week, thank God, both shows were like 90 minutes. Thank the fucking Lord. And if you love that shit going longer, that's awesome for you. As someone who covers everything obsessively, and that's my own problem, I have my own self to blame for that. It's not fun to be watching 3 hours of wrestling when there's other shows. Like on Mondays, there's Ring of Honor, there's Dark Elevation, and Raw, which that alone is enough to get through. But then on Tuesdays, there's Power, which I enjoy. There's Dark, there's NXT. Today, there's Dynamite. You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of wrestling as it is. Thursdays, there's Impact, NXT UK, Main Event, Friday, SmackDown, 205 Live. There is shit every single day, and that's not even counting the pay-per-views. So anyway, getting to your question, I honestly think they've done a better job of that recently, which is why the shows are shorter. Because like when Dark first started up with the enhancement matches about a year ago during the pandemic era, they were literally going like 10, 15 minutes with some of these squashes. Like they weren't even squashes. Like they were giving these indie guys and girls a lot of offense, which in some cases I get. Like, for example, I'm going to botch his last name, but Marty... Not Casawis, I think it's something along those lines. It's the former Marty the Moth Martinez from Lucha Underground. He faced Brian Cage on last night's Dark. I just watched it this morning. And it was a good match, but I think I can make an exception for Marty getting in as much offense as he did. Brian should be dominant, obviously, just given his character, his persona, the fact he's facing Adam Page on Dynamite tonight. But that I can kind of excuse because Marty has a lot of experience. He's good. I know who he is. A lot of these other people have very little experience and exposure and have no business taking these people to the limit. For example, on that same episode of Dark, they had the Seidel brothers. I don't know if it was in the opening match. I think it was in the match after the opener. Honestly, I have no idea who they faced. I don't remember. I have yet to write the review. I'm still working on it, but I don't remember, but it was like two no-name guys, one guy that maybe has been there for a while, another new-namer that we haven't really seen on Dark a whole bunch. They took the Seidel brothers to the limit, and the match was like 6 minutes long. When you have 12 6-minute matches, that really fucking adds up with the entrances and all that other shit. There is no reason for the Seidel brothers, and I don't even really give a fuck about Mike Seidel. Matt Seidel I like, Mike is fine. They're a fine tag team, but AEW already has so many goddamn tag teams. I would rather see Matt Seidel on his own, personally, in the AEW TNT title picture. I think he'd be a better fit for that group. A lot like Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, which I'll get to Scorpio a little bit later. But like, why the fuck are they a tag team? Literally, for Ethan Page to leave Impact, where he was in a great tag team with Josh Alexander, simply to go to AEW, where, yeah, it's a bigger platform, to be in another fucking tag team, to me, makes absolutely no sense. That is the definition of a makeshift tag team. Oh, they're both pissed off and disgruntled. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. And that's coming from someone who likes both Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page. Why are they in a tag team? That makes no sense. I keep getting off track here, but yes, to answer your question shortly and succinctly, the matches should be shorter with the squashes. There is no reason for Jake St. Patrick to be getting 10 minutes with fucking Brian Cage or some shit. I think Lance Archer squashed him on Dark last night, but I've seen that a lot, with a lot of matches on Dark and Dark Elevation and even on Dynamite sometimes. People were really upset about a year ago when Alan Angels went like 10 minutes or something like that with Kenny Omega, and it was a super competitive match. That didn't really bother me because it was a great match, but like they have the same matches over and fucking over on these shows, and it's like, why are they getting in so much offense? Realistically, it makes no sense. There is no reason. And again, they've done a better job of it lately, but there is no reason for a lot of these contracted AEW talent to be going 50-50 with these indie guys and girls or to be doing, competitive matches. There is no reason for it because it makes them look like losers, not the enhancement talent, but rather the contracted talent. It makes them look like losers that they can't put away this no-namer in a matter of minutes. So if they can't beat this no-namer in a matter of minutes, why would I take them seriously as a threat to the bigger talent in the company? You know what I'm saying? So that's always been my biggest or one of my biggest critiques of AEW. I feel like they're a little too generous in allowing people to shine. And some of those guys and girls are really, really good. So I can make excuses in certain circumstances. Like with Marty, again, who's been around the block, so I didn't really have much of an issue with that. But a guy like Baron Black, who gives a fuck about Baron Black? Why is he getting 5 minutes or so with people like that? I mean, he's been around for a little while in the company in terms of being used and whatever, so I kind of get it. But like the newer people who have no real, I don't know, it just because they're newer, so the fact that they would take some of these other people who have been there for a long time to the limit makes no sense to me. So I hope they continue to improve upon that. Again, they've already done better with that lately, which is nice. But some of these matches have no business being as long as they are. Brandon A's got 2 questions. He said, what's up, GSM? As I don't watch much Ring of Honor, can you educate me on what made Jay Briscoe worthy of being the world champion, but not his brother? What was more different about him than Mark? I love the Briscoes. I think what it was, and I wasn't watching Ring of Honor for the first 10 years of its existence. I didn't really get into Ring of Honor until like 2014, 2015. So by that point, Jay had already had his first world championship reign. I think he beat Did he beat Adam Cole for the title, or did he beat Michael Elgin? I don't remember, but from what I've gathered in the years that I've watched Ring of Honor, in the years that I've followed the Ring of Honor product, Jay is just a better talker. He has more of that star aura about him than Mark does. Mark comes across as goofy, and it's not the fact that he has like no teeth, but he's kind of like the goofy younger brother. He might be older. I'm pretty sure he's the younger brother. He comes across as goofy and he's fun-loving, blah, blah, blah. He can be serious at times too. But I've never really gotten from, maybe it's just because I know Jay has been a world champion, but I don't even know if Mark's been a TV champion. Jay just has that world champion aura about him. Maybe not in any other company. Definitely in Ring of Honor, he fits that mold to perfection. But I've always found him to be a better talker. He's just a better package overall, a more well-rounded in terms of a more complete package, I guess is what I'm looking for here. And he just has that star aura about him. And he's had great matches. Not to say that Mark hasn't. Mark has had a lot of good matches too. But Jay's had a lot of great singles matches to his credit as well. So, I don't know. I could take Jay more seriously than Mark. Mark just doesn't scream world champion to me. It's not like just because they're brothers that they look exactly alike or whatever. They wrestle different styles a little bit. They talk differently. They wrestle differently a little bit, like I said. And just their overall presence, Jay has that it factor more so than Mark does, in my opinion. So that's probably why they made him world champion and never Mark. I think Mark would be perfectly suited for for a fucking Ring of Honor television championship role. But I don't think they've ever given him a run with that title for whatever reason. So speaking of AEW, his second question was this. Let's talk about AEW championship reigns. I'm starting to see something that could become a problem. The champions may need to start having shorter title reigns. Adam Page, MJF, Pac, Lance Archer, Brian Cage, etc. are all names of people who could realistically hold the AEW championship. Because of this, it can take guys like Darby, Sammy Guevara, Ricky Starks, Jungle Boy, etc. years and years just to be in line for the title at the current pace. This is without Cody challenging, or Omega, Moxley, or Jericho becoming repeat winners. Are you going to have those guys go years not in the main event as champion to give those other guys title reigns first? You also have the possibility of guys like Christian, Penta, and Miro, who at any given time could be thrust into that spot. Even if you send some of those guys to the TNT title picture in the meantime, you have the same problem. Guys like Wardlow, Powerhouse Hobbs, Scorpio Sky, Phoenix, John Silver, Orange Cassidy, Matt Hardy are in the mix for that title, as well as those lower guys, lower tiered guys that are in the mix for the World Championship. How do you solve this problem without creating another mid-card title or shortening title reigns? Hangman is barely managing right now, and he's one of the next, and he is the next in line, or one of the next in line, whatever. How do you manage this without creating another mid-card or another mid-card title or shortening title reigns? You can't. You got to do one or the other. Either you create more championships, or you shorten the reigns a little bit, or you just have patience. Obviously people like Darby, Sammy, Jungle Boy have years left of their career to become world champion. I'm not really concerned about Darby becoming AEW champion by next year. Christian could be in that top spot, not as the world champion. Listen, I love Christian. The guy is, I was going to say 47, but they just had Jericho as world champion and he's 50. I just don't think Christian needs to be world champion. Him and Jericho are two totally different cases. I don't think Christian needs to be world champion at this stage of his career. Can he challenge for the championship? Absolutely. Would I like to see him challenge for the championship? Absolutely. Does he need to win the title? Not necessarily. He can win the AEW TNT title, and that's perfectly fine. He can work with the younger guys, get them over. Penta, I just don't think they see him as a world champion. And honestly, as much as I love Penta, there's a lot of other guys that you mentioned that I would rather see the world championship on. Penta, he can't really speak English, but he has Alex Abrahantes, I forgot how you pronounce his last name. He's great. I don't know if that's a world champion package right now. Miro possibly could be, but he's a guy that you would have to put the championship on at some point in the next few years, because 5 years from now, you could even argue he's old news now, but he's going to be older. It's going to be a lot less likely. So some of these people you kind of have to speed it up with. Cage being one of them. He's been around for a long time. He won't be around, I don't think, for another 10 years. I don't think. Lance Archer's another guy. He's getting older. You can't put the championship on him in 5 years. MJF, you have time. Page, you got to do it soon. Pac could go either way. So you have to do one or the other. I would not add another championship. I think, honestly, I'm more open to this idea now than I was a year ago. A six-man tag team title, I think, is fine. Ring of Honor has no use for theirs. It's a completely pointless championship in that company. Always has been. They had a great tag team division at one point, and they have a good tag team division now. They don't need those fucking six-man tag team titles. Honestly, if they were to form a working relationship with AEW, they could borrow from them. I don't think that's happening anytime soon, though, if ever. But anyway, I could see them debuting six-man tag team titles because they have so many fucking tag teams. So I'm kind of okay with that. Another mid-card championship? Yeah, not really. I'm not a fan of that. If it's just another mid-card championship, I don't know. Maybe if you work with the NWA more and you can kind of make the NWA World Heavyweight Championship a second title, a lot like the NWA Women's World Title is a kind of a second women's title for them to work with. I don't know if Nick Aldis would be open to that. I don't think he would even want to do that just because it's not really a mid-card title. It should be a world championship, But anyway, you're going to have to start shortening some of the reigns. But the thing is that I'm perfectly fine. I think every reign that we've seen so far from Jericho, then Moxley, now Omega, should be as long as they were. Jericho was in the best run of his career when he was the world champion, one of the best runs of his entire career when he was world champion. Moxley, you probably could have shortened that by a couple of months, but he also had a great reign with a lot of great matches and good feuds. Omega is just coming into his own as a heel, and there's more matches to be had with him as the champion. I mean, you could take the belt off of him at any point and put it on Adam Page. You could do that at Double or Nothing. I just don't think it's time for that yet. AEW, for the most part, has done a very good job with the longer form stories. You can't do that with every title reign. Not every championship reign, I agree, needs to be 6 months. For example, I mean, not every championship reign this company has done has been so long. I mean, you're talking about the World Championship, but yeah, Sheeta's been the women's champion for about a year now. But the TNT title, Brody Lee had like a month-long reign. Cody Rhodes had like a month-long reign before he lost it to Darby Allin. The tag titles, FTR were champions for all of like fucking 2 months, 2 or 3 months before they lost the belts to the Young Bucks, the Full Gear pay-per-view. So they don't have a lot of, like SCU weren't champions for very long. So the world title is more so the issue, and I agree. I think after Omega loses it, like when inevitably Adam Page wins that championship, I don't think he needs to be champion for 6 months. He doesn't have to have a Moxley-like reign because he's not like the face of the company. He could be, he's just not that guy. So he can put the belt on him, maybe not for a month, but like maybe until the next pay-per-view or the pay-per-view after that, and he can always get it back. He can always regain it too. He could lose it to a guy like, in theory, a Brian Cage or a Lance Archer or an MJF, and then just get it right back at the next pay-per-view. So I don't want to see them play hot potato too much. And I do like, if I had to take a choice, if I was to choose, if I have a preference, it would be longer reigns over the shorter reigns. But I agree, they have such a stacked roster. Honestly, they can't keep the top titles, and whether that be the mid-card or the World Championship, on the same people forever. They have to switch it up because a lot of those people that you mentioned are honestly closer to the end of their career than they are the beginning. At least when it comes to like an older guy like... When I say older, I mean they're not like 25. Like MJF has years left of his career, Jungle Boy as well, Starks, Guevara, Darby. But the other people, Archer, Cage, Pac, I forget how old he is, but he's been around for a long time. Christian, you probably wouldn't put the top title on him anyway, but Miro, Scorpio Sky, these are guys that you would have to capitalize on in the next couple of years, because 10 years from now, when they finally get their shot, they won't be in their physical prime anymore. So I agree, they're probably going to have to start doing shorter reigns. Another title I'm very skeptical on, unless it's like the Ring of Honor Championship or, maybe the Impact Championship. But again, that's just bringing in more guys from the Impact roster. They have a great roster. AEW is one of the best rosters I've ever seen. But they almost have too good of a roster, a lot like WWE, where they don't know what to do with certain guys, and other guys just get lost in the shuffle. So I think shorter reigns might be the answer to your question, in my opinion. Noel from Facebook, what did you think, or what do you think of NXT moving to Tuesdays? Do you think it was a good move for WWE? I do. I think it was a great move. And yeah, I know having the 2 shows on Wednesdays creates that competition element, and it was fun for a while. Selfishly and just realistically, or on the selfish side of things, it helps me out a lot. Yeah, there's 3 shows now airing on Tuesdays between Dark. I mean, technically that was already the case with Impact being on Tuesdays, and now that's on Thursdays. But it honestly helps me out a little bit because there are two big shows. Like Dark and NWA Power are not big shows. They're relatively on the shorter side, an hour to an hour and a half. NXT is a 2-hour show. Dynamite is a 2-hour show. So for the last year and a half, I've been sitting on Wednesdays watching 2 back-to-back shows. And I don't watch them simultaneously. I think I've done that only 2 or 3 times. Because usually I'm watching the shows with Alexis and I can't watch them simultaneously when I'm watching with other people. So we would typically watch one show and then the other show. And I wouldn't get done watching it until like fucking 11:30, sometimes 12. And that's if we start the shows on time. That's skipping through commercials. I don't like going to bed at midnight if I don't have to. And then I got to stay up working on the reviews and other shit I have to do. So getting done at 10 p.m. on both Tuesday and Wednesday, to me, helps out a lot more. So I prefer the shows on separate nights. I think it's better to focus on your own product anyway. They probably should have been doing that on, when they were both on Wednesdays. But when they were both on Wednesdays, they were putting forth these big matches because they want to draw on viewers, which obviously should be the case. But I just think it's a lot better. There's no reason to try to devalue the other roster. Obviously, that was more of NXT's motive, Vince's motive, than it was AEW's. AEW was going to be on Wednesdays regardless because they didn't really have much of a choice. With basketball on Tuesdays and on Thursdays, and Mondays and Fridays were Raw and SmackDown, so Wednesdays were their only choice. NXT has a choice. They can go to fucking Tuesdays. I think they're perfect on Tuesdays, and I'm glad to see it. So the shows have been better, honestly. I enjoyed Dynamite last week. I enjoyed NXT last week and this week last night. So, yeah, I'm glad to see NXT on Tuesdays now. And, yeah, I think both shows are benefiting from it. The ratings are higher, obviously, because a lot of the same people are watching both shows. More so the NXT fans are tuning into Dynamite than the other way around. But still, I think it's nice to see the ratings go up. You want to see both products do well. Because the lower the numbers, it doesn't really do well for anyone. So I'm really glad we are where we are, and both audiences seem to be growing from week to week. So hopefully they can keep it up. Their second question, what episode of Dark Side of the Ring Season 3 are you looking forward to? It's a good question. I think the next season premieres on May 6th. Is it this Sunday? May 3rd is on Monday. So May 6th would be... Thursday? Next Thursday? The show was airing on Tuesdays for a while. It looks like it's moving to Thursdays, maybe just because Impact's on Thursdays, so who cares type of thing, I guess. I don't know. I don't remember exactly what day it comes back, but I'm looking forward to the third season. So looking at the topics on here on Twitter, they put out the list of topics on Tuesday. So they're going to be looking at Brian Pillman, which is awesome. I think that's going to be a great episode. Nick Gage, I don't know a lot about it. Yeah, it premieres May 6th, by the way. It says it in their bio on Twitter. Nick Gage, I'm not really familiar with. I've seen the name. I don't know if I've seen any of his matches. I can't really say I care. I mean, I say I don't really care too much about it, but then I watch these episodes, and they're all good to great to amazing. So, I mean, it doesn't really matter. Because they can win me over. Because there was a lot of the other episodes in the other seasons where I didn't know a lot about the person they were analyzing, and it ended up being a great episode. So anyway, Nick Gage is going to be one. Collision in Korea. Ultimate Warrior is probably the one I'm looking forward to, just because obviously I'm a big Warrior mark. I enjoyed the documentaries that WWE's done on him, I guess with the exception of the original one, with the self-destruction of the Ultimate Warrior. So I'm looking forward to that one. That one's obviously going to be darker because it's the Warrior. But I'm interested to see if they interview the wife. Probably not, because she's still with WWE, I'm sure. So interested to see how they approach that one. Probably that's the one I'm most looking forward to. But they have Grizzly Smith. Know nothing about him. Dynamite Kid should be interesting. Johnny K9, a.k.a. Bruiser Bedlam. Never heard of it. The Steroid Trial should be interesting. FMW. Plane Ride from Hell, I'm looking forward to. I don't really know how you make a whole episode about that because it just kind of seems like we've heard a lot about it already. So I'm not exactly sure how they're going to approach that. Luna Vachon should be decent. XPW, never heard of it. And Chris Kanyon should be very interesting as well. So I think it's going to be a great season. They always put forth great episodes, and that's how many episodes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 episodes. Holy shit. So this seems to be lasting all summer, which is fucking awesome. That's going to be a lot of content to look forward to. But yeah, I'm looking forward to the show. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. And of all of them, probably Ultimate Warrior, even though we know a lot about him already and his destruction and all this other shit, the dark side of the ring with him. But yeah, I think the whole season is going to be fucking great. Next question comes from @Reborn again from the Twitter machine, John Ritland. You can check him out on YouTube as well @Real Honesty with John Ritland. Does great work. His first question was, I know the NWA is trying to retool and bring their product back after a year off, but has their weekly product seem flat or is it just me? Seems like a lot of it is just there. I agree. I haven't seen this week's show yet. I'll probably watch it after I'm done recording here. It's been good. I've enjoyed the NWA. It's not a bad show. It doesn't have any buzz, though. I mean, that year off really fucking killed their momentum. And they weren't just off. They were off for a year. And they lost a lot of their key players. So I do think they're doing a good job of getting back on track, creating storylines. They have a lot of things set between Aldis and Murdoch. I know Pope and Tyrus were feuding over the TV title. I love Pope. I don't give a fuck about Tyrus at this point. But, it's something. Adonis they're pushing right now, which is cool. They're doing something with the tag team title situation with Saul Renaro and Aaron Stevens and Kratos. So they're getting their roster and storylines back on track. Completely new stuff. I don't think they're starting anything, continuing anything from before the pandemic, because a lot of those people are either gone or whatever. So it's interesting. The commentary team is weird. I think Joe Galley is great. They have Tim Storm on there now, who is great. I like Velvet Sky. I don't know what's up with her, though, in terms of why she speaks so quietly. I don't know why she speaks quietly. I think she's done well in the commentator role. I don't know if it's a health issue or if she's just timid. Hopefully she's okay, though, because I know she's missed a lot of time from the ring. She was in Ring of Honor for a while, and I think she left when Bully Ray left, but she was taken off the show 2 years ago. And I know she tweeted some stuff about having health issues and whatever, so hopefully she's okay. She must be okay enough to be on the show, but she speaks very quietly, this is the NWA, and Nick Aldis is it's odd. So I'm hoping she's just timid, and it's because she doesn't have a lot of experience doing it. But anyway, aside from that, though, I think it's been a solid show. It's missing that extra oomph, though. It's missing that buzz, that momentum that was really taking it to the next level during its original incarnation with Power a year and a half ago. So, yeah, I've enjoyed the show. I like it. Am I overly clamoring for it every single week the same way I was a year ago? No. But hopefully in due time, as they kind of get shit back on track and they continue more storylines and they pick up more talent and whatever, and they get people talking again, then they might be in better shape. So I think so far so solid. It's not bad by any means. But yeah, it does seem a little flat in terms of weekly momentum and buzz and stuff like that, which is unfortunate because I enjoy Power. His second question was, far be it from me to sound redundant, but was this week's Raw one of the worst, if not the worst of the year? I would probably give that title to the night after Mania. It's amazing I'm even comparing this because there's been a lot of fucking terrible shows. A lot of awful Raws. There was that Raw before Mania. I don't remember dates with this shit. But there was the Raw before Mania where they broke up the Hurt Business. There was a lot of dumb shit on that show, I remember. That was a terrible episode. The Legends Night Raw was awful. The post-WrestleMania Raw might take the cake just because we were expecting a lot more. And not only was it a decent Raw, but a disappointing post-WrestleMania Raw, it was just awful all around. And this week's show sucked too. That first hour this week was absolutely abysmal. This comes from someone who enjoys the product overall. I've seen a lot of people say this. This is not earth-shattering news. I enjoy NXT. I like SmackDown most of the time. Raw, for whatever reason, is just terrible television. I am sitting there watching the show, one, on the verge of falling asleep, but two, just thinking to myself, how is it this bad? You have to go out of your way to make a show this terrible. They're doing the same shit every week, focusing on some of the wrong people. T-Bar and Mace, who cares? Dominic Dijakovic and Dio Madden, yes. But Mace and T-Bar, who gives a fuck? Why would you take the masks off them just to keep the face paint? It defeats the purpose of unmasking them. They look like the Ascension 2.0. It's garbage. It's garbage, it's garbage, it's garbage. It was absolutely one of the worst shows of the year, which again is saying something given how terrible Raw has been for ages now, for really the last year, even before the pandemic. I don't know if it's the worst with other shows that I've seen this year, but it's absolutely in that conversation, I hate to say. Last question from John here. With TNT getting the NHL games for the next 7 years, and with Wednesdays possibly, apparently being big hockey nights, could you see Dynamite moving to Thursdays possibly? Yeah, I guess, yeah. I mean, I think the talk originally, I thought NBC was buying the rights for the NHL games, which is why I think they were going to move to Tuesdays anyway, was NXT, because AEW's just been booting, they're like kicking them in the ass. I mean, how funny would it be if they moved to Tuesdays to avoid AEW? Because they probably knew the NHL stuff wasn't happening after a certain point. How funny would it be if they moved to Tuesdays, and then because of the NHL games, Dynamite ends up moving to Thursdays or follows them to Tuesdays? How fucking funny would that be? But that's the problem, though. So what I said earlier was that the whole reason why Dynamite went to Wednesdays in the first place was because of the basketball games on TNT. Because the big basketball nights, from what I understand, are Tuesdays and Thursdays, which is why they went to Wednesdays. So I don't know what they're going to do. I'm not sure if they would put it on a different channel or just air it at a different time. It's unfortunate because I think they were aiming for Tuesdays originally. People thinking, oh, they want to go to Wednesdays to fight NXT, blah, blah, blah. And at that point, A, NXT was on the network. But B, I think the biggest reason why they did that was because of the basketball games. Because I think they attempted to trademark Tuesday Night Dynamite. Why would you call it Tuesday Night Dynamite if it was going to be on a fucking Wednesday? So I think they were aiming for Tuesdays before they found out they were going to TNT. And on Tuesdays aren't really an option. So it's going to be interesting. I think that it'll stay put on Wednesdays is my guess. Could it move to Thursday? Sure. But what are they going to do come basketball season? Which is most... How many months out of the year is the NBA doing their games? I don't know. I don't really follow basketball. I don't know. So they're going to have to figure something out. I don't want to see it, go back and forth between Wednesdays and Tuesdays or Wednesdays and Thursdays over the course of the year. It's just inconsistent. So we'll see. I guess we'll see. It's going to be a very interesting development, to say the least. At noob_n_co1991, what are your thoughts on Sarai? I believe is how you say her name, Sarai. Not Sarai, as I was saying a week ago. I think it's Sarai. Saray's debut on NXT last week. I was impressed by her performance. It's great to see first impressions when it comes to new talent on NXT. I think I talked about her last week, but I thought she did well. It wasn't an overly spectacular debut by any means. Like, it wasn't this Shinsuke Nakamura takeover Dallas level of debut. But I thought she did well. I thought she and Zoe Stark had a very good match. And she also has her first program set, I assume, with Toni Storm. Because Toni Storm attacked Zoe Stark, and they set the shit up last night where Stark cost Toni a match against, honestly, I forgot her name, but against someone relatively new to the PC, to NXT. So I assume Storm and Stark are still feuding for right now, but once Storm is done with her, she'll probably feud with Sarai. Toni Storm is just a glorified loser at this point. So I love Toni Storm, but her booking is awful. Her booking is fucking terrible. So I'm not even really sure how much I mean over Toni Storm would even mean at this point for Sarai. I feel like it's one step forward, two steps back with a person like Toni Storm. But so far, so good. I've heard nothing but good things about her and coming into the company. She had a good first debut. I need to see more from her. I need to see more character development. Io Shirai, I think, is a perfect example. Kairi, I feel like, was always over. She kind of just flourished from the beginning. Io was someone that had a lot of buzz because she was so great over in Japan. But then she came to NXT, and she didn't do a whole lot from the get-go. She feuded with Shayna for a number of months, and she had some very good matches. But personally, I didn't give a shit about her as a character until she went heel. Did the whole Psycho thing and everything else. I think she's been fucking killing it the last year. That heel turn was exactly what she needed. I'm not saying Sarai needs to turn heel, but she needs that extra character outside of just being a good wrestler. Because at that point, what's the difference between Sarai and then anyone in AEW Dynamite who they bring in? And Dynamite's Dynamite's been doing better with their women. Britt Baker as a character. Sheeta, we talked about it with Brandon. Like, what's so special about Sheeta? She's just kind of a good wrestler, but no real character, I like Sheeta, but it's the same thing. She's a good wrestler, but not much of a character there. What's the difference between a Sarai and a Sheeta, or, a Sarai and, excuse me, Jesus Christ. That was a hell of a sneeze. Vince McMahon would fire me right now if he was here, but, what would be the difference between Sarai and Sheeta, or Sarai and, Red Velvet they're giving more of a character to, so I can't really compare her to her. Who in that division? Chris Statlander, I guess. Who I guess is an alien, so I don't know. Honestly, I think AEW might be doing better with their women in terms of character development than NXT. NXT has a lot of great women's wrestlers, but they need more characters, which is why I like Frankie Monet coming in. Dynamite's been doing better with that, like I said, between Baker. Sheet is not a great example. We need to see more of Swole. Statlander's kind of getting over that hump, which is nice. Penelope Ford I like, but she needs to stand out more. Be given by being given more TV time and stuff like that. So I don't know. I like Saraya. I thought she had a good debut, but I need to see more from her, especially in the character character standpoint, in order to care more about her and stuff like that and want to see her succeed. So far so good though. At Ewagu91 from Twitter, your thoughts on John Cena resorting to using duct tape to defeat Batista in a last man standing match 11 years ago. I thought it was the dumbest thing. At the time, I didn't really mind it because I wasn't watching the pay-per-views at that point. Reading about it, I'm thinking, oh, that's interesting. If that happened now, which it has, I think that's just the dumbest, laziest finish. It's such a fucking cop-out finish. So the whole point is to incapacitate your opponent to survive the count of 10. If it's a heel doing it, I kind of get it, but John Cena had no reason to do that to Batista. It was just a cheap ending to the main event of the show. That was really fucking dumb. So in retrospect, I still think it's as stupid today as I did shortly after I found out about it 11 years ago. Next question also from at Ewagu91. Did you hear a rumor about NXT Evolve? I did. I haven't heard anything else about it since, though. I heard they filmed the show called NXT Evolve. It's like the NXT for NXT, featuring, I would assume, the NXT Evolve people. The weird thing is that they signed a bunch of Evolve people last year. We haven't seen a lot of them at all on these shows. They're using Leon Ruff, obviously a former North American champion. Didn't they sign Josh Briggs and they signed Skylar Story, I think is her new name. I forgot what her name was before, but these people fucking work there. I don't know why Leon Ruff gets more TV time than they do, but I don't know. They're very inconsistent with who they sign and then not putting them on TV. I know some people need more seasoning and stuff like that, but a guy like Josh Briggs could be on TV tomorrow. So I don't know. Maybe they'll use them for that NXT Evolve show. I don't know if it was rumored or if they filmed a pilot. I don't remember. I think it was just rumored. But that was weeks or if not months ago, so I haven't heard anything else about it since. I think, it's a good idea. I hate to say that I want to see a show like that just because it's more content for me to watch. But NXT is such a roster where if they could have their own version of Dark to showcase people who are under contract but not ready for TV yet, that's cool. If it's an hour-long show, if not shorter, that's perfect. So hopefully at some point we do see that. I don't know if it's going to be on Peacock, probably on Peacock, or if it's going to be on YouTube or whatever. It's an interesting idea. I have not heard anything else about it recently, though. And his last question, does it surprise you that Darby Allin and Scorpio Sky haven't feuded considering the latter's heel turn on him? Yeah, so Scorpio got the TNT title shot after winning at Revolution in early March, okay? Got the TNT title shot in the subsequent Dynamite days later, that Wednesday. Loses clean to Darby. I think it was via a roll-up or something dumb like that. Scorpio turns heel. That was it. We have not seen any follow-up on it since then. Scorpio is obviously working as a heel now alongside Ethan Page, which, as I said earlier, makes no fucking sense. Scorpio is just in a tag team. Ethan Page was just in a tag team. Why does everyone have to be aligned with each other? Who cares? Why are they in the tag team ranks? I don't give a shit about their tag team. I just don't care. Scorpio and Allin, there's something there, though. Maybe they'll go back to it at some point, but I understand they'll tease some stuff and then go back to it down the road. But with something like that, though, like when Christian and Omega faced off, okay, I could see that being paid off down the road. With Sky and Allin, Sky literally beat the shit out of Darby Allin. Why the fuck hasn't Darby done anything else about it since then? He just was like, oh, moving on. This guy attacked you. You don't care? I think Scorpio and Ethan attacked Darby at the end of Dynamite last week. But it was a month and a half after the heel turn happened, so I don't know. I like that Scorpio's a heel, but they have yet to address it within SCU. That makes no sense. SCU is barely on the show as it is. But, if you're going to do something like that, then you have to... if you're going to turn the guy heel, you have to explain not why he's heel, because they've kind of done that a little bit. you have to explain what you're so obsessed with the fucking tag teams. Why hasn't SCU commented on Scorpio's recent actions? Why didn't Eddie Kingston ever give a shit about the Butcher and Blade leaving him for Matt Hardy? That was never explained either. So for all the shit that people give WWE, and rightfully so, for the lack of storytelling sometimes, I need to see that same criticism towards AEW for some of the dumb shit they do and shit that just doesn't make any sense. There's a lot of shit that doesn't make any sense at all, and people just kind of give it a pass because it's AEW. That to me doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but anyway, this has been a good episode, guys. I appreciate you guys sending in the questions and listening and all that other shit. It's awesome. If you want to send in a question to the show, you can do so by tweeting me on the Twitter machine at WrestleRant with the hashtag AskGSM. Find me on Facebook as well, facebook.com/Graham.gsm.Matthews. Leave a comment on the post that I usually put up on Tuesday nights, if not on the wall itself. And last but certainly not least, drop your question down below in the comment section on this very video. I'll include your question in next week's edition. Once again, guys, you can check out my exclusive interview with NXT star Mercedes Martinez from yesterday. My interviews with Tommy Bechtold, Ryzen, Ryan Nemeth, all coming up in the coming days here in the channel and on whatculture.com. You can also check out my interviews from last week with Eddie Edwards, Jordan Grace, John Cena, among other people. So you can check those all out here in the channel. Subscribe if you haven't already. Be sure to like this video, drop a comment, share the video, and hit that bell button to never miss out on a video and be notified every time a new video goes up. With all that being said, guys, have a great rest of your week. I'm looking forward to the month of May. Hopefully it's a little less crazy than April has been. It's been very rewarding and enjoyable, but at the same time, incredibly hectic. So hopefully it dies down a little bit. I'm hoping to take a step back and just catch up on a lot of shit in the coming days as we enter May. But once again, guys, have a great one. I'm Graham GSM Matthews, and I'll catch your ass down the road.